Hello, it's AlinaGG, and I have a very special guest today. I have an ex-art director turned online business owner, Rachel Harrison-Sund. Welcome aboard.
Hello. So excited to talk to you today, Alina.
Yes, we're both feeling energized. We were just sorting out a little bit of a kerfuffle with technology, but then we got there and we felt like, yes, we're on track, we're focused, let's go.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, there's so much we can dive into today. So I'm really, really fascinated by your journey and what led you to make that transition from, trading time for dollars, which I've heard you speak into before. Was that the main thing that was motivating you?
Yeah, that was definitely up there. For me, one of my highest values is freedom, autonomy, independence. And I just didn't want someone else calling the shots for me. I didn't want someone deciding when I had to start work, when I needed to leave work at the end of the day. I didn't want someone else deciding how much vacation I could take and when and how much my time was worth. And I just had really had a lot of my own ideas. And I feel like I'm very creative by nature. And I just kind of wanted to break free of all that. I wanted to be the one calling the shots for myself. So
Yeah,
that's
great.
kind of where this whole thing kind of started.
Fantastic. That's a really strong motivator, isn't it? Personal freedom. Yeah, 101.
Yes, I think it's probably the top one for most of us.
Definitely, definitely. And so, then what was the first steps then to make that transition? Obviously, you researched and then you sort of did you do some courses? And I've heard you speak into that before. What got the wheels in motion?
The thing that really got the wheels in motion for me initially was this book that you've probably heard of, The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And that really just got me thinking about options that I think a lot of us don't realize that we actually have. And that is, hey, we don't have to get this. We don't have to get like a 9 to 5 job. We can actually do our own thing. And it's probably not as difficult as you might think. So that's kind of where it all started. And then I just started researching ways that I could make money online, kind of like a side hustle that I could grow into something that I could eventually leave my job in advertising for. So that's when I discovered this idea of self-publishing as a business model. So essentially you go onto Amazon, you do research to try and figure out what types of books people are actively looking for. And then you create those books yourself, or you can hire someone else to create those books for you. You publish them through the Kindle Direct Publishing platform, and then you collect the royalties. And I thought that sounded really cool. I'm a huge book lover. The whole thing sounded really interesting to me. So that was kind of the first thing that I really pursued in earnest. And that is really what ultimately led me to be able to quit my job, I guess probably about 2.5 years later. And there's a bit of an evolution there that I can talk through if you like.
Yeah.
I started off doing nonfiction books. So my very first self-published book was a recipe book.
Was that the
I did
gluten-free recipe book?
It wasn't a gluten-free
Oh,
recipe. It was and this sounds completely counterintuitive, but it was a paleo diet for vegetarians cookbook.
oh, hang on. So welcome back, Rachel. We just had a bit of an experience. My mic and my ring light just totally crapped out because I spilled a glass of water. I spilled a glass of water on them before we started talking, and now here we go. The show must go on. So
These
where
things happen to the best of us. I've had many a technical snafu, including, burnt out ring lights, microphone not on, recording an entire video with something not recording. Happens to the best of us.
Thank you so much for your patience. Well, I will just let you talk. So let's keep going.
Oh gosh. Okay, let me just pick up my train of thought. Oh right, I had first published a paleo diet for vegetarians cookbook. From there, I did a couple of other cookbooks, did some other stuff in the nonfiction space, and then I got onto the trend of romance. So like romance novellas. So basically, I would come up with these ideas. I'd write the outline, come up with the title. I would design the cover, and I would actually hire out the writing portion to someone else. Because if you're trying to scale with this business model, you need to be publishing multiple books at once. And clearly, unless you've got some kind of superpower that I don't know of, you can't be writing multiple books at once. So that's what I would do. Now, about a couple of years after that, I really kind of couldn't break past the sort of $4,000 a month barrier. And then I came across this idea of low content publishing. So low content books are books with little to no content, like the name implies, and they're things like planners, journals, coloring books, guest books, anything that's kind of like broadly under that umbrella. And the cool thing about those books is that you don't need to have any written content. So that means I could create all of the books myself using my art background, and basically cut out the middleman and keep those profits for myself. So that is when my publishing business really took off. And from there, I was able to have my first 6-figure year, and then it just kind of ballooned from there. And then after a while, I kind of just had enough people asking me, like, what is it that you're doing again? And like, how do you do that? That I thought, this is another business idea. So that's when I created my YouTube channel where I teach people all of my methods. And that's when I launched my digital course as well in that same topic. So that's kind of, you know, the abbreviated version of my journey from way back to being, you know, dissatisfied art director up until now.
Wow, thank you. That is great. And so right now, I've noticed you also have affiliate sales. Is that part of your business model right now?
Oh, absolutely. That's probably about 1/5 of my total revenue is affiliate sales.
Great. Okay. And then your actual course is probably, well, how much percentage is that then of your revenue?
It's the bulk of it now. So at this point, I'm focused mainly on my YouTube channel and my course. So I'm not actually publishing much anymore. So my entire business model shifted really to help my students create their own online businesses, publishing low content books.
Yeah, that is really exciting. I'd love to learn more about that. And didn't it take you 9 months to actually draft and develop your course?
It did. Yeah. Yeah. So I had a baby at the time. She was just a few months old. So I bought Amy Porterfield's Digital Course Academy. And that was before I had like an email list. I didn't have a YouTube channel, didn't have a website, nothing, but I knew that I wanted to create this course. So I started working on that course, and then simultaneously I was putting out content on my brand new YouTube channel. I had a blog that I just slapped up in a day. And so it's kind of like building my audience as I went. And yeah, like I said, I had a baby who was home for the first year. And I had to move. So we were like moving during that time, all sorts of stuff. So from start to finish, it took me about 9 months before I was able to launch that course.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. And so has your messaging and your processes changed throughout that time, or is it fundamentally still the same thing that you practice and that you teach?
It's fundamentally been the same. I mean, there's been a lot of updates in the self-publishing world over the past few years. Every year there's some sort of new set of updates. So that's constantly evolving. Every year I refresh the course and make all of the updates. Usually every January I do that just to take into account all of KDP's changes, any new strategies that I've kind of come across, or, you know, new trends, things like that. But in terms of overall messaging, it's generally been the same. And the whole thing kind of runs on autopilot at this point. Like when I first launched it, I did a few live launches, and then I kind of just put it on evergreen. I had a second child. So it was really nice to be able to have that on evergreen and have income coming in while I was taking more time off to be with my son. So that is, for me, like one of the magical things about having your own online business. And one of the reasons why I wanted one to begin with is to have something that worked for me. And, you know, I could step away if I wanted to for a few months at a time, really, and still have income coming in. So it was really amazing just to see that part of things really pay off.
Yeah, definitely, especially with young children and all the other aspects of life other than business that we all have to balance, you know, and maintain, and our own personal energy and health and wellness, and all of those things do take time and focus as well, right?
Yeah, it feels like a juggling act sometimes, and you're constantly dropping balls. Yeah, especially with children in the mix. I found that really, really challenging. Not at first. With my first one, I mean, she was just like the poster perfect child. And then when my son came along, I just really found the transition to 2 kids to be really difficult. Yeah, it was just a real challenge trying to fit all of the things that I wanted to be and do and have in my life into these little slots that were always overlapping, and you kind of felt like you're failing in multiple areas and never kind of like winning in any one of them. But I think that's kind of just par for the course. I mean, I don't think it has to be that way, but I think it's difficult for us as human beings to kind of keep things running smoothly and not have overlaps and not, have all of the human feelings that go along with running a business and a household and raising children.
Yeah, definitely. I relate to that a lot. I was just tuning into so this freedom that you've created. So you've just been, to the Austrian Alps, haven't you? And had a fantastic
Yeah, I
day.
had a
Tell me
wonderful trip with my family. This is a trip that we could never have dreamed of a few years ago, but travel is a high priority. And I like to be able to splurge on the things that I really want, that are important to me, and kind of like cut back on all the things that don't. So travel for us is just really important. We've got friends that live in Holland. They came to visit us last year, so we said we'd go and visit them this year. So they just drove down to meet us in the Alps. So we spent a few days in Munich first, and then we had a chalet that we rented for a week in the Alps, and it was absolutely spectacular.
That's beautiful. That's when my father was born. So I'd love to go there and check it out.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Wow, beautiful. And so, sorry, just zigzagging back to business for a moment. When with all the moving parts of your business, do you outsource a lot? Have you got your own staff in the country or overseas that you delegate certain tasks to?
Yeah, so I've got kind of a core team of 3 at this point. I've got the world's most amazing VA. She actually lives right here in my city, which is awesome. So we actually met for the first time, probably a couple of months ago now, after we've been working together for months. And then I've got a project manager, and then I've got someone who does a lot of my like SEO and is kind of more like takes care of all the data type stuff. So that's kind of the core team. And then I've got a few people that I work with sort of more on an as needed. I do have a video editor that I work with, once a month. And then I just hired a fractional online business manager who's helping me tighten up all the things that I've been sort of neglecting for the past 3 years. So that's been really helpful as well. Help is so important, especially for me. I tend to get overwhelmed kind of easily, and I find it really difficult when there's like multiple projects that I have to keep tabs on and keep moving forward. So it's really essential for me to get that kind of help.
Yeah, great. That's amazing. And so with the course, can you just run me through, if someone was to come and do your course, what would they get out of it at the end?
They would be able to know how to thoroughly research an idea for a book. So first come up with ideas for low content books, then research and validate their idea to make sure it's actually feasible. Then create the book. So there's tutorials on how to create them in various design programs, and then how to launch and promote your book after. So it's basically the entire journey, takes you from idea all the way through to publishing and then promoting your book afterward.
Oh, wow. That sounds so cool. And I was really curious about launching, because there's a couple of different ways to launch. What's worked best for you when you've launched a product?
Well, really, I've only really tried the one way in sort of 2 different ways. So I've got my free guide, which is 3 steps to publishing your first low content book in less than a day. It's a huge mouthful. But basically, people find me on YouTube usually. I'm always promoting my free guide in my videos. People will download the free guide. From there, they're on my email list. They get invited to a pre-recorded webinar. So at first, it was a live webinar. And then on the webinar, I pitch my program, and then people sign up from there. So then I turned it evergreen. So no more live webinars. I've got a pre-recorded webinar So same process, people find me on YouTube, download my free guide, get invited to the webinar, pitched my program during the webinar. So probably like the first 40 minutes it is just training that anyone would find useful. And then of course, there's the pitch for my program at the end.
Oh, great. That sounds fantastic. And so what's next for you then? Like what's your vision for your business?
So I'm working on something right now that I haven't quite revealed just yet. So stay tuned for that. But I'm very excited. It is still in this online business world. It's just it's a little bit of a pivot. So I'm moving a little bit away, or not totally moving away from, but just I'm going down this other path as well. But I haven't even told my team about it yet. So I don't want to reveal it right now, but it's coming in the weeks to come, and I'm very, very excited about it.
Oh, that is great. That is so fantastic.
But the broad vision really is like, I just love helping people figure out what their skills, passions, talents, knowledge are, that they can then monetize and turn that into a business. Because I think so many of us, we just don't give ourselves enough credit. We think that because it comes naturally to us, oh, well, everyone must know this. And the reality is, no, we've all got unique gifts. And those things that we think are just common knowledge or everyone knows how to do this, those are the things that you can really capitalize on and help other people with. And yeah, I think we've all got those gifts, and most of us haven't recognized them, or, you know, we just haven't seen them in ourselves. And I really want to help people figure out what those things are and get them out there into the world and just create something that's theirs, and, you know, help people to exit the 9-to-5 if that's something that they choose to do.
Yeah, that is a fantastic intention. So if someone has an idea or a skill or a gift, what's a question that they can ask themselves, like how to start fleshing it out? Like what are some really key questions that could actually get you fleshing out your idea into something tangible for sale?
I think it's all about like problem and solution, right? It's like, whatever your idea is there a core problem that this solves, or a desire that it meets? I think it's any successful product or service is either solving a problem or meeting a desire somehow, right? So if you can really articulate, like, what is the problem you're solving? Is this a real problem that somebody needs? Then I think you're golden. And then the next thing you really want to do is you want to start talking to people that problem might be real for. So, you know, you've got your idea, you want to figure out what that problem and solution is, really think about who exactly is going to need the solution, because it's not going to be for everyone, and then find some of those people and actually speak with them. I think this is a huge step that a lot of people miss. And when you actually get on the phone or a Zoom call with people and start talking to them and asking them questions, you know, what are your biggest challenges? Why is that an issue? How long has that been a challenge? You're going to get some really, really valuable information. I've done that a few times, and it really has been invaluable. And then you're building relationships at the same time as well. So I think that's kind of the best place to start.
Yeah, that is very valuable. And it's funny, isn't it? Because it's not often what you assume the problem or the pain point would be. Sometimes once you get to know your ideal client and speak with them and ask them questions, there could be something they haven't even thought of that they have a challenge with that can sort of reveal itself, you know. So it's quite a fascinating process, that market research piece. It is quite important, really. Yeah,
even just like uncovering some of the subtleties. Like, you may have thought it was this particular problem, but they kind of shine a light on it. It's like, yeah, it is this problem, but it's presents itself kind of more in this way. So there's, I think, a lot of subtleties, like subtle insights that you gain just from having those conversations. And you can also listen for multiple people saying the same things over and over. Like, wow, I just talked to 15 people and like 12 of them said this thing. You know, that's when you know you're on the right track.
Yeah, great. That is fantastic. So how can people find you and work with you? Is it best to go through your YouTube channel or your wonderful website that you've got?
Either or, yeah. So rachelharrisonsund.com is my website. Same name for my YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram. same. It's all just my name. Those are kind of the three main places that I am. Any of those places, you'll be able to find that free guide that I mentioned as well. 3 steps to publishing your first low content book in less than a day. And yeah, definitely stay tuned for some juicy stuff that I'm very excited that I'm working on.
Thank you so much for speaking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me, Alina. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, great. Okay. See ya.
Bye.